Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tipoff 2021, 2022. I don't even know what year it is, apparently, Larry.
It's because you've been busy. You've been busy covering championship basketball.
That's right. That's right. Ron Poniewasz and Professor Larry Kelly is here with us on Tipoff. Sir, welcome aboard, and thank you for joining us.
As always, thank you for having me. I'm feeling a little bit like Karnak the Magnificent tonight. Do you remember the Karnak routine on Johnny Carson? When he would hold the envelope to his head and he would give you the answer even before the question was asked.
He would define the answer.
Yes. Well, that's who I'm feeling a little bit like tonight. I'm feeling a little bit like Karnak, and I'm going to be giving you some of the answers, even before the question is asked.
Now, were those envelopes hidden away in a Funkin' Wagnall's mayonnaise jar or something?
On Funkin' Wagnall's porch, absolutely, they have been. Yes. So yes, I feel a little bit like Karnak the Magnificent. We'll call me Kelnak the Magnificent tonight.
Does that make me Ed McMahon?
That makes you Johnny Carson. It's even better.
Oh, no, you're Johnny Carson. He's Karnak.
The star of the show. The straw that stirs the drink.
All right. We have an athlete of the week to tell you about. Had two nice performances and a pair of wins last week. Larry will have his Red Hurricane report, and we have a few topics to talk about in our topic segment. Pretty good ones, too, I might add. And at least I'm excited about them, and it'll be good to get Larry's opinion on them. But first off, another topic that's near and dear to his heart, and that is the athlete of the week, Isaiah Boyce, 6-foot junior guard for Newcastle. He had 20 points in an 85-52 win over West Mifflin. He had 9 more points in a 63-42 win over Shaler. And those two games got them into the semifinals, them being the Red Hurricane, and then obviously the Red Hurricane took care of business earlier in the week against Gateway to reach the championship. But those two performances by Isaiah Boyce from last week is what gets him Athlete of the Week. Mr. Kelly, sir, what do you know about Isaiah Boyce?
I've known Isaiah Boyce since he's been in 8th grade. And, you know, I have had a lot of opportunities to coach some great players coming through the system. I mean, Michael Wells, Michael Graham, Geno Stone, you might have heard of him. Markel Hooker, Marcus Hooker, you might have heard of those guys. Those are all state basketball players. I have never coached a better junior high basketball player than Isaiah Boyce. Never. He's as good as anybody I've ever coached. He averaged more than 20 points a game when he played for me, and his points were all within the confines of running the offense. He was just a fantastic, fantastic player, hit big shot after big shot for me. I remember one game, I called Coach Belundo at halftime, and I said, Isaiah Boyce is too good as an 8th grader to be playing 9th grade basketball. I can't remember who we were playing, but the young man was fabulous. His success at the varsity level and his 1,000 points now that he achieved against Gateway does not surprise me. Hard worker, smart, very cerebral player, does everything right. And he's just a fantastic player that I've had the real joy and pleasure to watch up close, really for 4 years now, you know, since he was an 8th grader and he played for me. The young man just was special and continues to be so.
He's very consistent too. You know, every game, you know, I don't think there's much of a drop off. And I think a lot of the adage is, you know, maybe he wasn't shooting the ball very well earlier in the season, but you know, unless you really, you know, were paying attention to box scores or anything like that, you'd have a hard time knowing that he struggled shooting the basketball or, you know, scoring the ball earlier in the season, because he's been really, you know, lighting it up recently and putting the ball in the basket. 3-pointers are his game. He's got, I want to say, over 50 some odd 3-pointers this year. I think he had 60 some odd 3-pointers last year. So that's pretty much a big part of his game is perimeter shooting.
He can really stroke it. And the three-point shots that he attempts, again, are all within the confines of the offense. He doesn't look to create his own shot, his own three-point shot. He takes what's available to him, through the offense that's designed by Coach Bellando. Not only is the kid a great three-point shooter, but watch the way he finishes around the rim, whether it be a driving layup or on a fast break. He's one of the best finishers I've ever had when he gets the ball, inside and he's attacking the rim. The young man's an all-around player. Coach Bellando mentioned the defensive game that he's been playing, always charged with the responsibility of watching one of the other team's best players. And he digs in. He's a special young man that, has another year of eligibility left. And I look for him to continue to have success and to have a big game Friday night, because the moment is never too big for this young man. Never.
All right.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Okay, we're back with you here on Tip Off, and these are our random topic segments. And we have 3 championship games, as you all know. Class 1A is Bishop Canevin against Union Boys. Class 2A girls would be Neshannock girls against Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. And naturally, Class 5A boys would be Newcastle against Laurel Highlands. So first off, our first championship that will be contested is the Union Boys. That'll be 5 p.m. Thursday, and that'll be against Bishop Canevin. Larry, just your thoughts on Union getting back to the championship game. These teams are familiar with each other. I believe this is a 3rd consecutive year that they have played. Last year was in the semis, and as you remember, the winners go to the state playoffs, and the losing team goes home. That was in the semis, so in any normal year, Union would have got to have advanced into the state playoffs, but they didn't get that luxury last year.
Well, Bishop Canevin is a Pittsburgh AAU team. You know how I feel about these Catholic and private schools. And in most years, they have a distinct advantage. But this Union team is different, Ronnie. These cats are good, man. The U is good. The Stanley brothers and the other guys that they bring to the table, it's a special breed. They have championship intensity and focus. And I like Union. I do. I really do. They're on a roll, and they're playing well, and they're well coached. And, I like the Scotties. They got a big road because, again, Canevin, they got kids from 5, 6 different school districts. Union, they graduate 50 kids a year, and they're in the WPIAL championship game. I'm proud of those guys, their coaching staff, and these players are special. And they've been doing it all year, and I expect they'll do it again on Thursday. Is it Thursday at 5?
Thursday at 5 p.m., correct.
Thursday at 5, I do.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the Neshannock girls. That'll be 3 p.m. Friday, and that again is against Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. Larry, that's Class 2A, and Luann Grabowski is going for her 6th total WPIAL championship. She won 3 of them with Newcastle. She's won 2 at Neshannock. She's only lost 1 total, and that was 2017, I believe. She was 3-0 at Newcastle, if memory serves me correct. 2-1 at Neshannock, and this is going to be a first for her. She's never been to consecutive championship games. Is 42 years on the bench. What did I say? This is her 7th championship that she's coached in, but never once has she appeared in consecutive title games. Larry, your thoughts?
Very difficult to do. but this is a team that, if I'm not mistaken, Ron, returned all 5 starters this year.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they're playing Olsh. It's a Pittsburgh AAU team, but these Lancers are special. And I believe that this team has a chance to go to the state championship game again. They're that good. They've been there before. They're a year more mature. They have some special players. Nalia Noge is a triple-double machine.
Mm-hmm.
The Haggerty girl can shoot the eyes out of the basket. The little Noge, the younger Noge girl, is a fabulous player. I like Neshannock. In a close game, Luann's been there before. Her poise, her experience will be transferred to her team. A lot like Coach Belundo. They've seen the movie before. Coach Stanley, these guys have been in the big games. And I do believe that that has value when you get to championship games. It does. It has value to keep your team calm, because basketball is a game of runs. And those runs, you can't panic. You can't panic. You gotta stay calm in big games and wait your turn and not get too excited if the other team makes a run. I like the Lancers. Luann's been there before. She'll know how to handle it.
All right. And the last game for a championship preview that we have, you won't hear a certain phrase in this one from Larry. We have Newcastle taking on Laurel Highlands. You won't hear Larry say, that's a Pittsburgh AAU team, my man. You can't
No,
say.
it isn't. Oh, it's a high school team. They get their kids like we get ours, from a certain radius and, a certain district. And I respect that. And you coach the kids that grow up in your system. And that's what we've done at Newcastle. And Laurel Highlands has 3 great players, the best of which is this Rodney Gallagher, who is one of the top football recruits in the country, but he's also being recruited by big-time basketball schools. But he's a great player. But truth be told, they're returning pretty much the same team that we beat last year, I believe, in the WPIAL quarterfinals. Coach Belundo will have our guys ready. And as I told you, maybe the fire trucks can just stay on duty and bring home Union on Thursday and Neshannock and Newcastle on Friday night.
Okay. All right. So those are our championship game previews. Larry, a few topics, if you would here. Elwood City boys basketball coach Steve Antuano was suspended for 2 games for an incident with the referees following an Avonworth loss, following a loss to Avonworth in the WPIAL quarterfinals, I believe it was. So, Larry, what's the bigger loss for a program? A head coach coaching for 2 games when he can coach in practice and come up with game plans and things like that, or is a player a bigger loss, somebody that's on the court, in competition?
I mean, listen, I've coached different sports for 25 years. It's all about the players, Ronnie. It's all about the players. And, they're going to miss when the head coach isn't there. It's different. It's different. But it's a bigger deal if your best player's out. If Joe Roth is out of that game, or Coach Antuano's son is out of that game, it's a bigger deal. And I'm sure Coach Antuano himself would tell you that. Look, that was an incident where I think the Avonworth, I watched the game, the students rushed the court. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with high school kids in a very emotional setting. You got to prevent that from happening, because, the scene could get out of hand when that happens. And I read the paper, and that's what Coach Antuano said his concern was. You have very emotional players who just suffered a bitter loss and a big upset, and all of a sudden now you got visiting students rushing on the court. That could create problems.
Yeah, that was leads into my next question. Similar to that, do you feel that home games in district playoffs will be in jeopardy now because of of that incident. You know, that happened at Elwood, and that was their home game. Would things like that be possibly derailed if it was a neutral site like down at North Allegheny or at Bethel Park or Peters Township?
You know, that's a great question. That is a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I do believe that when you've had a great season, you do and should have the right to play a home game. They do it in football, and it's even a bigger deal in basketball. But I think that the WPIAL is going to make sure that the home site is charged with the responsibility of having adequate security on hand. I mean, at Newcastle, you know, our games are patrolled by the Newcastle Police Department. And it's not unusual to have 2, 3, 4 officers on site to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just does, but it could get out of hand, and you got to be careful. You know, people are very emotional following these games. We saw what happened in the Michigan-Wisconsin game. Juwan Howard, a grown man, NBA player, a coach, you know, for several years, gets in an altercation with another coach from Wisconsin. So you got to be very careful how you manage post-game celebrations and, you know, post-game fan reaction on both sides.
Sure. I'll be anxious to see if you're still on board and feel the same way I do regarding this, but I watched the stream also that night as we had other games covered, and I wanted to monitor that one. I'm not sure. Did you watch that one with sound on or off? Do you remember?
It was on. The sound was on.
Within about the last 5 minutes of the game, 5-6 minutes of the game, and it got to be an insufferable item for me. It was the announcers talking about the shot clock. No, the lack of a shot clock. Now, remember, it's the home team homers clamoring for a shot clock, which I hate the idea of a shot clock in high school basketball. To me, there's no place for a shot clock in high school basketball. Had they have mentioned that if Elwood City was winning, I don't know, maybe not. But the reason I don't like it is you're hurrying up teams that might not be that good. We see girls basketball teams sometimes score single digits, 8 points, 7 points. Now you're hurrying them across the timeline, and now hurry up. There's 12 seconds on the shot clock. You know, you're asking for worse results in basketball. That's why I don't want a shot clock. Go back and watch the stream. They mentioned it probably 5 or 6 times, and it got to be an insufferable moment for me.
You know, that was a situation where Avonworth was holding on to the ball because they have the lead.
Right.
But let me tell you something, Ron. It is very difficult to hold on to the ball, you know, for 20, 30 seconds when the other team is pressuring you. More times than not, when you do that, it results in a turnover. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you got to be very careful in those situations when you're attempting to hold on to the ball, because this was happening midway through the fourth quarter, as I recall. And so therefore, you know, it was, you know, you better be pretty good if you're going to do that. So I'm kind of with you. I don't think a shot clock is necessary in high school basketball, but I could tell you to hold on to the ball isn't easy either. At Newcastle, you know, Ralph is really good at playing for that last shot at the end of a quarter. And oftentimes, you know, we'll go into, we call it 3-man, where it's basically a 3-man weave almost. And, you know, we're trying to hold on to the ball the last 20, 30 seconds to get a shot inside the last 10 seconds. And we practice it. It's not easy to do. So, you know, it's one thing to try and do it like Avonworth was doing. It's another thing to be able to accomplish that.
Sure. And lastly, the under hit. We were talking about how many teams are we going to get to play championship games. I think we both like the over and having 5 teams. We only got 3. That was it. Didn't hit the way we thought it would. And you know, the funny thing is, that night I texted you and said the Neshannock boys and Elwood boys got beat. I think the same night the Mohawk girls almost pulled off a huge upset. They were up 20-5, and they, that was almost their way of saying, "Hey, don't forget about us. We want to come to that party. We want to make 6."
Yeah, I mean, it was an enormous upset to see both the Union women and the Elwood boys to get beat. They were the higher seeds in both of those games, if I'm not mistaken. I think Union had already beaten, if I'm not mistaken, that team twice during the regular season.
Twice.
And so it's hard to beat a team 3 times. And no one was predicting that Elwood was going to lose at home. And, maybe Avonworth as the 8th seed was improperly seeded because that team is good and they are in the WPIAL championship game.
Yeah, and I was watching the Union stream predominantly that night, the same night that Newcastle was playing Gateway. I couldn't believe, I don't think I've ever seen this. Union girls had 10 team fouls with just about 2 minutes to go, third quarter, not fourth quarter, third quarter. Bishop Canavan was in the double bonus for the last 10 minutes of the game, and they couldn't hit free throws. They may as well had Ron Poniewasz Jr. at the foul line because they were missing free throws left and right. 1 out of 2, 0 out of 2, 1 out of 2. They just could not make free throws, so how I am a stickler for free throws.
Yeah, well, the rule was changed, the one-on-one rule, when Jimmy Valvano in 1983 started fouling people with 3, 4, 5 minutes to go in a game and putting them on the line and forcing them to make foul shots. I watch it every year before the playoffs. It's called Survive in Advance. It's the story of the 1983 North Carolina State Wolfpack. They changed the rule after that because it used to be, it was just one-on-one until it was, until it was a shooting foul. And and I missed that, Ronnie. That's one change that I missed. I still love the one-on-one situation where you got to make that first one to get the bonus. And they changed that after that season. After the 10th foul, it's not 2 shots automatically. But, it's you got to make foul shots. Right. And the other thing, I've asked officials this all the time. If the game is being called consistently, will you find that at the end of the game, the amount of foul shots taken by each team may not be exactly the same, but will be close? And to a man, every official has told me, to a man, yes, if the game is being called consistently, in other words, what's a foul on one end is a foul on the other end, that when you look up at the scoreboard at the end of the game or you look at the scorebook, each team will have shot pretty close to the same number of foul shots. So the fact that, Union is not in the bonus yet and Bishop Canavan's in a double bonus tells me maybe the game wasn't being called consistently on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, there was one part, I think fourth quarter, Union's mounting the comeback, and a Union girl got fouled. I think she made the basket and was going for a 3-point play. And I did not see, I don't think they had it zoomed in on Rob Nogay, but I think the announcer said, and the expression from Rob Nogay saying it's about time, so apparently, it had worn thin on him, and I don't know what kind of reaction it was because I had kind of looked away, but yeah, you're right.
I've never gotten a technical foul in my basketball coaching career. But every once in a while, when I look at that scoreboard and I see that the fouls are totally out of whack, I'll just ask real nicely, are we the only team that's fouling tonight? And, they get it. I don't make a scene, but they get it. So.
I'm trying to work on that too. I talked to Mark Stanley and his son Anthony is into officiating now. I'm trying to work on the fact that you could get a technical foul. I don't know how much money it's going to cost me, but it might be worth it, Larry.
Listen, Anthony had one of my games, and let me throw a little plug for him. He's a very good official. He's so good that even his dad couldn't complain about the game that he calls. Anthony had my last game. Does a great job. He really does.
Good. All right. Well, we have run long. It was fun. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Larry, anything else you want to say before we depart and get ready for the championship game?
I just got the feeling. Karnak the Magnificent says it's going to be a great weekend for Lawrence County basketball.
Divine the answer. There's plenty of them that are good out there if you find them on YouTube. One of them was he mentioned Betty Crocker and Joe Namath, a crock and a jock, and there was something else. they're classic. They're very good.
Yeah, yeah. So Karnak the Magnificent says it's going to be a great day for Lawrence County basketball. Great weekend.
All right, very good. You heard it right there from Karnak the Magnificent. Watch that first step too, Larry, when you go on the stage too. All right.
I should have worn the outfit tonight. I should have worn the outfit. Somewhere I could have got that hat that Johnny Carson used to wear.
Right. Yeah. Boy, what kind of mess would we be in if you'd have showed up with that? Oh, boy. All right. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Best of luck to our local teams, athletes, coaches, the entire school districts. Best of luck to you. Bring home the gold, and we will see you back here next week. Larry Kelly, I'm Ron Poniewasz. Good luck, everybody. Okay.
As a veteran, I fought for our ideals. That we are a nation of laws, that the laws apply to everyone, and that no one is above the law. So if you've been hurt in an auto accident, I don't think you should be pushed around by some insurance company. Not on my watch. I'll work hard to protect your rights. I'm not afraid to go to trial, and I've never run from a fight. I'm Chuck Garbett, and I'm proud to serve the people of Lawrence County.